Well, we're at March the 31st. Year is 25% over now. And I want to hit a few things. One thing that came up on the Tucker Carlson show last night, and I checked it out, articles in the Washington Examiner, that Bill Gertz, who's kind of a commentator who for years has dealt with the intelligence community and sort of national security type issues, has pointed out that this Wuhan virology lab, in fact, apparently has been working on ethnically targeted viruses. I guess genetically engineered to target specific ethnic racial groups, in other words. And if you recall, not too long ago, I put out a speculative video called COVID-19 as a biowarfare weapon. Okay, and at the time, this was, I think I admitted in the thing that it was very speculative, and I actually had not heard of this Bill Gertz material before this. At the time I put it, I was purely speculative. I was simply looking at what had happened, and coupled with the idea that I'm pretty convinced that the COVID-19 did come from the Wuhan lab in one way or another. And you put it all together, and I look at how that actually benefit the Chinese government's political interests. And it looked like it was very effective in advancing their political interests. So apparently this is something that's really real within the intelligence community, and apparently they've studying something like over 2,000 viruses, and their research seems to be directed toward making them more contagious, and apparently maybe engineering certain characteristics into them. So it's beginning to look like my wild speculation may be more real than I thought it was. I was sort of just throwing out something to think about kind of a piece, and now all of a sudden I'm going, people that are a lot more connected to these intelligence than I ever have been, apparently are thinking along similar lines. And so I thought I'd just mention that. I'll put a link to my original video in here too, if you're not on my, subscribe to my website, which is pretty easy to find. That's a scary prospect. Because remember, the COVID-19 is not really that lethal of a virus overall. It's my tracking of it says it has probably a lethality rate of something around 0.4% spread over the entire population of people that have been diagnosed with the disease. Of course, it hits a much higher percentage if you get in the over 80 group or even over the 65 group. Particularly over 80 group, it's very deadly too, and then when you get down to 65, it's somewhat dangerous, and then otherwise it tends to be the unlucky few that just happen that it has their number, or people with certain pre-existing comorbidities, as they say in the medical world. So, but you begin to think about this. If it targets people that are already retired, think about it how a cynical totalitarian government might view that. That cuts down on their retirement and health care costs, and really ugly stuff. You see what I'm saying? Very ugly. So I don't know. We'd have to just keep an eye on this and see if this turns out to be really real or not, although I do know that this biowarfare and genetic engineering is kind of an updated thing. When they played around with these ideas back in the World War II time period, and even in the 60s, up to 69 when the U.S. officially ended offensive research, allegedly, and I guess they did, where the Russians continued with their program with anthrax and so forth. As we found out at the end of the Cold War, that they were planning after they nuked us, they were also going to dump some anthrax on us just to finish the job. So, really nice guys. But anyhow, the point I'm making is that this, with modern genetic engineering techniques, you can go way beyond what was possible during that time period. And now it appears that the Chinese are working on it, and worst case scenario, they may have actually used it. And they're going, this is rather clever. Come up with something that's highly infectious, only maybe 5 times as lethal as a seasonal flu, or at least a bad seasonal flu, let's say. And totally mess up adversaries' economies, I mean, we're already down $6 trillion and major political changes because of this, and changes that are in the direction that the Chinese government are probably happy with. Again, on to other topics, today is the day I understand that Biden is going to preview his infrastructure program. And it looks to me like a lot of the infrastructure program is more like social welfare programs and things of that sort. So it looks like they're really playing to the FDR game to try to create programs that will be very difficult to end once they're started and will cost incredible amounts of money, forcing the country into higher and higher taxes. Because the taxes they claim they're going to put on probably won't actually produce the revenues that they project they will. Because, I mean, rich people tend to find tricky ways around tax laws. You know, they have very smart tax attorneys and financial people that figure out these things and change their behaviors in ways so if they project that people behave the same way they were behaving before the new tax law was put in place, they'll find out a lot of these wealthy people probably won't be doing the same thing, and it probably will produce less revenue than projected. And now what do we do? The country's already going deeper and deeper in debt, and at some point this is probably going to really degrade the U.S. economy and bring on inflation. I kept reading articles like in Investors Business Daily the other day where all these experts are saying that they don't think it'll really happen or won't happen for 2 or 3 years, but I'm very skeptical of that. We'll just have to, again, watch that subject. It's also notable that so many rich people like Elon Musk are putting massive amounts of money into Bitcoin. They seem to be seeing something that a lot of people apparently aren't seeing. And so we'll see what's in his so-called infrastructure program. Meanwhile, of course, we know that Georgia's passed a new voter law, and in fact, it seems that there's been a lot of lies put out by the Biden administration and other Democrat sources. In fact, Biden himself got 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post. Yes, that's right, from the Washington Post. Not from the New York Post or the Wall Street Journal. So they're really deceiving people about this. In fact, the law itself doesn't ban people having water or something in line. What it did ban was outside political activist groups coming in to give out food and water in the line and using it as an opportunity, therefore, to electioneer. And so that's what's really at foot. It isn't saying that in fact the polling station can't give out water or something, or you can't bring your own. So that's it was. And really, I don't see any. And also, as far as voting hours, the voting hours are not changed on the weekdays, and they're actually adding additional time on the weekends for early voting. So I think it's largely an overblown situation, and I think, of course, I'm totally in favor of the idea of voter ID, in particular the idea of going from signature matching on absentee ballots to using the ID number, either driver's license or state ID card number, is a verification, because that's something that whilst people might get a hold of a list of voter rolls of people that are deceased and try to vote their name, or just vote them even if they aren't deceased and try to take their vote, it's going to be harder for them to have a valid driver's license number for the person, I think. And so I think that'll I don't say it'll absolutely preclude, but will greatly minimize voter fraud and give people a lot more confidence in the election. And if they don't want to have the kind of thing going on that happened after this election, I don't know what's to not like, unless you really are counting on some voter fraud to, put you over the top. And considering that they're trying to take away a seat with only that was won by 6 votes, it seems like these small amounts of fraud can be decisive. So, at any rate, I decided to hit that one while I'm still on here. And okay, I'll kind of wrap this up for now. Remember to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you like the videos, and you can also forward links to friends to see if we get them interested. And so we will call this one closed for today.